It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. That's randykabc@gmail.com. Well, even though it's one of his favorite words, Gavin Newsom has never been known for accountability.
Accountability.
Gavin Newsom is the king of making big, flashy statements with zero follow-through. Even if you agree with the things that you want Gavin to do, when Gavin says he's going to do something, Gavin makes a big proclamation and very little actually happens.
That is something we are mindful of.
I'll give you a case in point. It was about a year ago. Gavin Newsom had a big press conference on how he was going to be sending scores of tiny homes to places like San Jose and San Diego and Los Angeles. Los Angeles would be the biggest recipient, a whole bunch of tiny homes to solve our affordable housing problem. And then, a year later, 0 tiny homes have actually been built and delivered to San Jose, San Diego, or Los Angeles. Gavin got the big headline. He got to do the press conference, but there was no follow-through, and there was no
Accountability.
So, with that mindset, it's probably makes sense that a lot of people who live in California were quite skeptical of Gavin's big announcement this morning. Let's hear what he posted on Instagram as the big flashy headline attention grabber for Gavin Newsom today is he is signing an executive order for the state to clear all the homeless encampments. Let's see if he actually means that. And even more important than that, I want to know if you actually believe it. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think Gavin's going to do it seriously this time? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Or is this yet another empty promise from the empty suit known as the governor of California? 800-222-KABC. But before you judge, let's take him at his own word. Here's a video he shot on his phone, and they must have exported it wrong because the quality sounds like he filmed it in 2006.
I don't think there's anything more urgent and more frustrating than addressing the issue of encampments in the state of California. Over the course of the last number of years, the state has stepped up.
This was obviously produced. There's music behind it. They're cutting with different footage. Why is the footage of him so grainy and the sound so terrible? This is California. Not only the tech capital, but the entertainment capital. We should have crystal clear audio. Gavin, I'm able to do a radio show from my gym room while my cat stares at me. You can't take a video that doesn't sound like dirt.
Where in the past...
I know I'm getting mad at the wrong thing, but I'm an audiophile. I would like you to hear him clearly so then you can critique him. But he's making that difficult.
Where in the past...
Or maybe the thing is, Gavin knows most people won't actually watch this video. They'll share the headline, but they won't actually watch it. Well, I watched it. I watched all your crap. I listened to that whole hour-and-a-half podcast with Marshawn Lynch.
Where in the past we provided no support, no resources to cities and counties to clean up encampments like this. Today, we've invested now over $1 billion in encampment resolution grants, not only to clean up sites like this, but to address the underlying issue in the first place. One of the big issues...
He's spent $1 billion. We've addressed the underlying issues, and the number is pretty much stayed the same. About 180,000.
Issue in the first place. One of the big issues, though, that has been an impediment was the courts. In the past, the courts have denied the ability for local government, including the state, to clean up many of these encampments. Today, I announced an executive...
Now, this is true. The local governments have been impeded by what was the Boise decision and then Grants Pass, which was actually adjudicated in the Supreme Court a few weeks ago. And the Supreme Court decided, and there were a lot of different municipalities, including San Francisco, that agreed with what eventually became the ruling, and Gavin Newsom himself, that cities, counties, and state government should be able to clear a public space. That is not cruel and unusual punishment. However, there was one local municipality that thought the opposite and thought that it was cruel and unusual and torturous and harmful. Los Angeles, where we're broadcasting to right now. So remember that as we move forward here.
Was the courts. In the past, the courts have denied the ability for local government, including the state, to clean up many of these encampments. Today, I announced
What those things said is you can't clear out all these encampments until you have enough housing for every single person. And there's been lots of fights and there's been lots of this and that, but now it's there. Now we've got the ruling. You can clear the encampment whether you've got the housing for them or not. And why is the housing our responsibility to begin with?
Today, I announced an executive order to move the process forward. We're done. It's time to move with urgency at the local level.
It's really hard to hear you, Gavin, while you're moving around shovels in your grainy video shot on your iPhone 3.
Today, I announced an executive order to move the process forward. We're done. It's time to move with urgency at the local level to clean up these sites, to focus on public health and focus on public safety. There are no longer any excuses.
No excuses, Gavin says. But who's he saying no excuses to? He's not saying it to himself.
Accountability, accountability, accountability.
No, because he says this is the responsibility of the local governments. And to a certain point, he's right. It's the local governments that should be the ones that are carrying this out. Gavin can't have the CHP go to every single part of Los Angeles to deal with this. However, what do you do, Gavin, when your local government, like Los Angeles City and Los Angeles County, refuses to clear encampments? How exactly are you going to hold them accountable?
$1 billion this state has invested to support communities to clean up these encampments. We have now no excuse with the Supreme Court decision. This executive order is about pushing that paradigm further and getting a sense of urgency that's required of local government to do their job.
So Gavin Newsom's executive order probably means absolutely nothing, but I am glad he did it for only the smallest reason ever of it pissed off Mike Bonin. Mike Bonin, the most pro-homeless member of the LA City Council, former member of the LA City Council, he wrote on Twitter, I don't call it X, nobody calls it X, a horrible move by Gavin Newsom. Real leadership would be ordering agencies to provide housing and shelter, not ordering them to push people around. This shows his chief metric is making the homeless crisis less visible, not solving it.
Oh, he's still on drugs. He's dealing drugs and sleeping with teenagers in encampments.
So just the fact that it pissed off Mike Bonin means that I agree with the executive order, although I happen to believe it doesn't mean anything. Gavin makes a lot of loud proclamations, but Gavin is not one for follow-through. And what this state needs is follow-through. Most people, outside of the Mike Bonins, most people think we got to get these people off the streets. But I'd like to see the actual follow-through. And how are you going to deal with it? Because you know what? This executive order, it's going to be great for places like, I know, can't believe I'm saying this, San Francisco, where you have London Breed already putting out that starting in August, they're going to go all crazy with clearing the encampments because now they've got the authority to. They've got a plan. They're getting them out of the Tenderloin, out of Soma. And I think there's going to be more follow through there than in the state.
Oh, this is amazing.
No, that's not London Breed. This is London Breed.
Wow, this is really nice.
And Orange County, they're going to do what they can. They're not impeded by the court order anymore. Ventura County, they're going to do what they can. San Bernardino, Riverside, San Diego is going to do what they're doing. San Diego is already doing a very good job at this. But then there's Los Angeles. And Los Angeles, if they're not going to do what needs to be done, and all the other counties are, the homeless problem in Los Angeles is about to get a lot bigger and a lot worse because our local electeds do not want to clear the encampments. Whether it's Holly Mitchell, Karen Bass, or Hugo Soto Martinez, our local electeds in the city and county of Los Angeles are against it. They did not like the Grants Pass decision, and I don't think they're going to be moved by Gavin Newsom's do-nothing executive order. But my question to you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222 is this. You've heard Gavin Newsom on his executive order to clear homeless encampments. Do you think things are finally going to be different this time? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Do you take Gavin Newsom at his word that he's going to finally try to get something done with the encampments? Or is this Gavin trying to get a headline and no follow through? 800-222-KABC. Tell me your thoughts on Gavin Newsom's executive order to clear all the encampments. Let's start with Bill in Rancho Santa Margarita. Bill, hello.
Yeah, hi. This is nothing but, his advisors telling him that when you do run for president, you got to shore up all these terrible things that you will be held responsible for. And so, because first off, the Supreme Court usurped Gavin Newsom when they came out with their, verdict that you could clear out the homeless people. It didn't matter what Gavin Newsom had to say. He couldn't say, no, you can't. And, again, they'll just do, all the mayors of the cities will just do what they want to do. But, you'll see more of this from Gavin Newsom where, he's setting himself up to run for president, if not in 2024, it doesn't look like, but more in 2028. He's going to try to take all these issues that would hammer him nationwide and have a rebuttal for him. That's my comment.
Well, I appreciate the call, Bill. Thanks so much for calling in. It's so funny because if his ultimate goal is to run for president, then if you solved all of the problems that are plaguing California, the crime, the homelessness, you'd have a great record to run on. But again, Gavin Newsom, big proclamations, no follow through. Let's get some analysis on Gavin Newsom's executive order. Here is a piece that ran this morning on KTLA.
Breaking news this morning, we're hearing from Governor Gavin Newsom after he issued an executive order that directs local authorities to begin dismantling homeless encampments.
You hear that, Holly? Hilda? Janice? I think Janice would try to clear some homeless encampments. I like Janice. Only because Janice likes the bus driver.
That's your final warning.
KTLA's Omar Lewis live now in Hollywood with those details. Omar, good morning.
Jessica, good morning. Yeah, that executive order from the governor is aimed at dismantling thousands of homeless encampments, just like this one here on Hollywood Boulevard this morning. The move follows.
That's a Hugo Soto Martinez homeless encampment. We know he doesn't want to do anything about clearing the encampments, and yet he claims homelessness has been lower in the Hollywood area than it has in many, many, many years.
Yeah, clap that up.
Hollywood Boulevard this morning. The move follows a landmark Supreme Court decision which gave local leaders greater authority to remove homeless encampments. And this morning on X, Governor Newsom releasing a...
Just call it Twitter. Nobody calls it X. Elon's nuts.
And this morning on X, Governor Newsom releasing a video statement about the new executive order. Take a listen.
I don't think there's anything.
Yeah, we already heard that.
The plan from the governor is now ordering California cities and counties to adopt local policies and to use all available resources when it comes to how best to dismantle homeless encampments. It also encourages local governments.
And by the way, I think we should try to be as active as possible on something like this because I want to take Gavin at his word. I want to believe that it was the courts that were holding him back. And now that there are no legal blocks, he's going to do what needs to be done and clear these encampments and get these people the help that they need, whether they're mentally ill or on drugs. Because the people living in the encampments are not the people that are down on their luck and the housing is too expensive. You hear that all the time from our local electeds. It's the cost of housing. That's why we have so many homeless people. But have you ever actually done the math statewide? Think about this. California has a population of 40 million people. Biggest population of any state. And I know it's a little lower now. It's like 39.9. But let's just, to make things simple, let's say it's 40 million. And the rough estimate of the homeless population throughout the state of California is about 180,000. But I don't know if they're counting everybody. So we're going to, just to make things easier and simple and even numbers so you can even do this math in your head and not have to pull out your calculator, we're going to say roughly 200,000 homeless people in the state of California. So if You do that math and you divide the 200,000 homeless by the 40 million population. Do you know what you get to? Do you know what the percentage of people who live in this state are homeless? 0.5%. 0.5%. That is how many people are unhoused in the state of California. So if the cost of housing, and yeah, housing is real damn expensive in this state. I know, I see my mortgage, and with rates are they are now, I don't know how anybody buys a house. I see how much rents are going up. I know how expensive it is to live here. But if you think about it, 99.5% of everyone that lives here is able to keep a roof over their head. Fascinating. So maybe it's not the cost of housing that have people in tents on the street. Maybe. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm not a math whiz, but I like that number.
The plan from the governor is now ordering California cities and counties to adopt local policies and to use all available resources when it comes to how best to dismantle homeless encampments. It also encourages local governments to ramp up enforcement that emulates the state's models. Now, state agencies now provide 48 to 72 hours notice before clearing encampments, and personal belongings will be bagged, tagged, and stored for at least 60 days. The Supreme Court's decision has left cities in a conundrum, however, weighing the need for enforcement against the rights of those who have nowhere else to go.
They got plenty of other places to go, like somewhere else.
Enforcement also remains an unresolved issue, as the state cannot compel cities to adopt these new measures, but can only advise and incentivize them through funding control.
Okay, so the executive order means absolutely nothing because Gavin can't tell the cities what to do. And if the city of Los Angeles is going to refuse to enforce the laws that are on the books, there's nothing Gavin can do outside of saying, well, then you're not going to get any of my $1 billion grant to clear the homeless encampments. That's not going to work because the people that are in charge are they are vehemently opposed to getting rid of the encampments. They think that's cruel.
Local leaders like LA's Mayor Karen Bass will now be trying to balance enforcement with compassion. Take a listen.
This is going to be an interesting question about the difference between the state government policy and localities like Los Angeles, where Mayor Bass has said she doesn't want to use these anti-camping ordinances. There's no doubt that the Supreme Court's decision allows a state to do what Governor Newsom is doing here. You just still have to make sure that with respect to every other individual right, you aren't trampling on that.
Yeah. Holly's not going to let this go through in LA County.
The streets of California.
And if every other county around us is doing it, then they're all going to be moving into LA County. And if the contract cities that can do whatever they want because they're not listening to Holly Mitchell or Hilda Solis, if they do everything that they're supposed to do, we're talking Burbank, we're talking Culver City, Beverly Hills, El Segundo, the city of Los Angeles, which is already the epicenter for this problem, is about to become a much bigger epicenter.
The streets of California are home to an estimated 180,000 homeless people, the most in the nation, and these encampments are a stark reminder of the state's ongoing housing crisis. This sweeping order comes with its own set of limitations, as the effectiveness of such measures is now under scrutiny. A recent Rand Corporation study suggested that dismantling encampments might not have a long-term impact on reducing homelessness.
Well, because we don't change our policies. We clear out an encampment, but we don't do anything about it, and they come right back because we don't make sure that the space is for the public. My question to you at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222 is this. We've heard the big flashy statement, the executive order from Governor Gavin Newsom. He wants local municipalities to start clearing homeless encampments. Do you think Gavin Newsom's executive order will make any difference? 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. We're taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Gavin Newsom put out a big flashy executive order today ordering local cities and counties to start clearing homeless encampments. Do you think it's going to make any difference?
Accountability, accountability, accountability.
800-222-KABC. Let's go to Phil in Long Beach. Phil, hello.
Hey there. Yeah, the best way to clear homeless encampments? A front loader.
That'll do it.
Bring one through. Yeah, just bring one through, scoop it all up, throw it in the back of the truck. And wasn't it Bonham when the homeless tried to camp out in his neighborhood, called the police and had them moved?
In fact, I believe you're right about that, because they can't be in his house bothering his kids, but they could be in front of your house bothering your kids. It's a wonder why he's no longer a member of the city council.
You just kind of wonder. I mean, he's only, 8 blocks from the Venice underpass where that big encampment was, and they were running out of room, and yet he didn't want them over at his house. Strange,
totally
isn't
right.
it?
Yeah, it is. Thanks so much for the call, Phil. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Do you think Gavin Newsom's new executive order to clear homeless encampments will do anything? 800-222-KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It is the News Blitz with Randy Wang on Talk Radio 790 KABC. We're here every single day from 5 to 6 talking about the local issues that matter to you most and taking your phone calls at 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Your emails as well at randykabc@gmail.com. Gavin Newsom issued an executive order today demanding local municipalities to clear homeless encampments.
Accountability, accountability, accountability.
Do you think it will have any effect? 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Jason in Whittier. Jason, hello.
Hey, hello. Yeah, my bigger thought on this is he just doing this because the Olympics are coming and the whole world's going to see? What about after the Olympics? Do you think they'll all just come back after that?
I would hope that they would be doing this for more than just, the Olympics are coming in 4 years and the World Cup is coming in 2 years. But unfortunately, we know it's all about appearances for a lot of these things. But maybe their heart's in the right place and the courts were blocking them, and we'll finally get something done, because what we have been doing is unacceptable and a failure. But they're not going to admit failure, unfortunately.
No. Oh, all right. Thank you.
Thanks for the call, Jason. Appreciate it. Let's go to Hector in Southgate. Hector, hello.
Thank you, sir. I feel they're not going to do anything with that. There's too many. They make money off of that, millions and millions of dollars. That's the homeless industrial complex. As long as they're making money off of that, they'll never do anything about it. Plus, even if they were to remove all that stuff out on the streets, they got to remove the people. They got to put those people in mental institutions. They got to put them in prisons. It's never going to change.
Well, with the current way the laws are, you're right, it's not going to change. However, if Prop 36 passes, which is the change of a lot of parts of Prop 47, including that on your third drug conviction for a misdemeanor, it becomes a treatment-mandated felony. If that actually went into effect and we follow through with it, that could put a huge dent in this thing. For the mental health, Prop 1 is supposed to be building mental health beds for those people. If it's not, whoever's in charge of that needs to be fired.
We also need the 3 strikes. Remember 3 strikes law? That was good. That worked.
Maybe that's what we got to go back to. Hector, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to Tyrone in L.A. Tyrone, hello.
Hi, how you doing? My thing is this. The mayor, she's got a plan in place, according to her and her office, to house the homeless. Take them off the streets by whatever means necessary with trucks or whatever, clear up the areas, and put the people in the so-called homeless facilities that she claims she's already authorizing the city to purchase. As far as the laws are concerned, as far as drugs and all that, you got to go and find a person that is committing a crime. Cops, and they're not trying to fool with that right now because the courts aren't even, and the DA in L.A. is not even trying to address that. So use the facilities that they're so-called claiming for homeless, clear the encampments, put the people there. Get the people that need treatment as far as the mental problems are concerned, and you take care of the problem that way. Nobody's left homeless.
That's what we got to be doing, and we got to be doing it immediately. No more waiting around. Tyrone, thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC, 1-800-222-5222. Let's go to Patty in Yorba Linda. Patty, hello.
Oh, hey, Randy. I just wanted to say that there's a part of me that thinks he may follow through with this, only because, and I agree with your first caller, that he's got his eye on the presidential bid 4 years from now. And this is nothing that's selfless on his part. It's completely selfish. And I was also mentioning when I called in that if you want to look at an example, when Biden and the Chinese president were having the U.S. China summit in 2022, that's when he cleaned up San Francisco. And it's now a pit again. But he even said, and I quote, because I have this in front of me, I know folks are saying, oh, they're just cleaning up this place because all those fancy leaders are coming to true, Newsom said. That's true because it's true. So, no, he does it for self-gain only. That's why I think he might get a little more forceful with withholding funds to, let's say, Karen Bass, et cetera, because I think he's a little bit desperate and a little bit shocked that he wasn't, tapped to maybe be the next presidential runner this time.
Hey, whatever motivates him to do the right thing, that's all that matters in my book.
No, that's fine, except that I also wonder, well, if he then going to back off later, who knows? I don't know. But I'm thinking this might be, he may follow through.
Well, I hope he does. I hope he does, even though we have seen time and time again, Gavin makes a flashy announcement with very little follow-through. Patty, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. 800-222-KABC. Let's go to Ray in Glendale. Ray, hello.
Hey, Randy. Newsom wants to be the VP pick. He wants to go to Washington, so he's going to clean up the streets. And Karen Bass and all the local government leaders want to go to Sacramento, or they want to go to Washington with Newsom. So everybody's going to get in line and clean up the streets to make a pretty picture for the election, the upcoming election, and the elections 2 years and 4 years after that. So that's what's driving all of this, is simply they want power, and this is just one more tool to it. So we'll benefit from it, and as soon as they either win their races or lose their races, the homeless will come right back.
Well, at least it'll be nice for a couple of years. Ray, thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it. You know what? If that's what all this is, it's higher aspirations, it's wanting us to look good for the World Cup and the Olympics, then we need more California politicians to want to run for national office, and we need more big international events coming to California, so they'll have to make this place look good. But if that's the side effect, think about this. Let's say Kamala wins. Newsom's not going to be the VP because it's foolish to have your VP from the same state, and because of the 12th Amendment, you technically can't even really do that unless she says she's moves to Virginia. It's a whole thing. But he could get a fancy position in the administration, and then we'd be rid of Newsom, and they had to clean up the homeless. So could be a win-win. 800-222-KABC. More of your phone calls coming up. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. Gavin Newsom filed an executive order today compelling local municipalities to start clearing those homeless encampments. He can't actually force them, but he can give them money if they do it. Do you think this will have any impact? Let's go to Dale in Long Beach. Dale, hello.
Hey, Randy, this is going to be as successful as all the plans that Eric Garcetti came up with to get rid of the homeless people.
Yeah, Eric Garcetti said when he ran for mayor in 2013, he was going to end homelessness in 10 years. Gavin Newsom, when he ran for mayor in San Francisco, said he was going to end homelessness in 10 years. That was 20 years ago.
Here's another quick one for you. Another ambitious proposal. Los Angeles County Supervisor has announced a $100 million initiative that included opening regional shelters for the homeless. The shelter part of the plan was shelved in 2007.
That's about as LA
Thanks,
County
Randy.
as it gets, Dale. Thanks so much for the call. Appreciate it. Let's go to John in Irvine. John, hello.
Hi. Well, this is my theory. I think and I believe that he's doing it because he might be actually cleaning things up so that he can look good and then run against Kamala. What do you think?
You think he wants to run against Kamala Harris in this cycle or the next election?
On this cycle, or on this cycle, okay, most likely. I believe.
I would love to see him try. I think Kamala would eat Gavin alive.
Oh man, this is a mess. But who knows what is his motive in doing this now? But we'll see.
Hopefully he's got the right intentions. Hopefully. Thanks so much for the call, John. Appreciate it. Hey, I got something nice for you. A little present from us to you, the listeners at KABC. 790 KABC welcomes Chris Lane to the Pacific Amphitheater on August 14th. Tickets are on sale now, but right now, caller number 9 at 1-888-790-5222 gets a pair of tickets to the show. Tickets furnished by the Pacific Amphitheater. Good luck dialing. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. It's the News Blitz with Randy Wang on KABC. If you'd like to email us, you can do so at randykabc@gmail.com. Carolyn writes in and says, this is just more doo-doo from Batman. He isn't cleaning anything up. I still don't know why his name is Batman. Thank you so much for the email. And AJ says, this is going to be that episode of South Park. If you've never seen it, it's called Night of the Living Homeless, and it's brilliant, and it ends with the idea to solve homelessness in South Park is to send them all to Southern California, specifically Los Angeles and Santa Monica. And then Cartman sings, California is cool to the homeless. I used to be way better at that impression. Let's go to Bill in La Cañada. Bill, hello.
Hi, Randy. I think we should just give it a little bit of time before we make a judgment on this executive order. Wait, one of my neighbors is here. Give me that phone, Bill. Hello, Randy. This is Arnold, the governor. Look, Gavin Newsom is not Batman. Gavin Newsom is the Joker. He's the Joker, Randy. He's also a liar who gave us George Gascon. Gavin will do nothing. Nada. Hasta la vista, Joker.
Well, and Arnold, you would know because you were Mr. Freeze. Nice to see you, Arnold. Thanks so much for the call. That one can use a little work. Now, I'll tell you this. I am thankful that Gavin Newsom made this executive order. And it used to only be because it pissed off Mike Bonin. But it also pissed off Ulysses. Ulysses wrote on her Instagram at Ulysses 2022, we cannot criminalize people into housing that does not exist. After years of failed policy decisions that created the housing and homelessness crisis that we face today, we have finally begun to turn the tide by investing in care-first systems that help people access the support they need. We must continue to pursue solutions we know that create lasting change, not revert to criminalization and displacement. I am committed to supporting policies that prioritize the health, safety, and well-being of our communities. So she's pissed off about it. That means there must be something good. Or it's going to make Los Angeles look bad if it's the only municipality in the state that doesn't want to do something about this. Because remember, San Francisco is usually the laughingstock of the state. Now it's Oakland. But San Francisco is going to do something about this. London Breed says starting August 1st, there's going to be massive clearing of encampments. They're not putting up with it anymore. If San Francisco does it and LA doesn't, we're going to look worse than Oakland. Lane writes in at randykabc@gmail.com and says, in a perfect world, the state of California could improve critical matters, but it's a local issue. Rick Caruso wanted to be LA mayor so badly and promised even if he didn't win, he wouldn't abandon. He's a developer worth $4 billion. There you go. You know what? That is a really good point. Rick Caruso, where's the homeless shelters you're building? Well, he's going to try to run for governor, maybe. Well, our budget certainly hopes he does. Thanks so much for tuning in, everybody. It's always such a pleasure to do this show. We made it through the end of Thursday, which means when we come back on Friday, it's another happy hour show. And it's going to be a fun one because it is today, in fact, is National Wine and Cheese Day. So tomorrow we're going to be talking about wine. We're going to be talking about Pinot Noir. We're going to be talking about the Santa Ynez Valley in Santa Barbara County and all the fun things to do there. It's something I happen to be pretty well educated on over the last 10 years, and we're going to share some love of Pinot Noir and California wine country, Southern California wine country. It's always a pleasure to do this every day. If you miss any episode, go to KABC.com, click on podcast, or go to the Apple Podcast app and search for KABC News Blitz with Randy Wang. It'll pop up. See you tomorrow for another News Blitz on KABC.